Today, we're diving into the story of one woman in Nigeria and her fight for a safe childbirth. Well, it's about so much more than just survival. It's about a simple, powerful desire to be seen.
This is the voice of Atim Okan. And that one sentence, "I want this baby born in a hospital?" For her, this isn't just a preference. It's literally a matter of life and death.
So, let's meet her. This is Adim. She's 28 years old, pregnant with her third child, and she is absolutely determined not to become just another number, another statistic in a healthcare crisis.
To really understand her journey and her determination, we first have to talk about the tragedy that put her on this path in the first place. You see, in her community, a lot of women give birth at home with what are called traditional birth attendants, or TBAs. These are folks from the community, but they don't have formal medical training. And 2 years ago, Atim's cousin died from bleeding after a home birth with a TBA. That memory, it's what drives everything for her. I mean, just listen to her own words. You can just feel the weight of that fear and that loss. She knows the risks all too well, and she is not willing to take that gamble.
So, Adim seeks out a formal clinic, right? She does what she's supposed to do. But what she finds there, well, it shows that her personal struggle is really just one piece of a much, much larger systemic problem.
Just try to picture this scene. We're talking cracked walls with paint peeling off. All the records are on paper, no computers. There's a single fan humming in the heat, and the delivery bed, it's torn and discolored. This isn't some back room. This is the front line of maternal healthcare for millions of people.
And that kind of strain, it has a tragic cost. There was an intervention program called Saving Mothers, Giving Life, or SMGL, that was set up to tackle exactly this problem. When they first assessed the situation, what they found was just staggering. A maternal mortality rate of 876 deaths for every 100,000 live births in those facilities. Now this chart really puts that into perspective. The national average for Nigeria was already alarmingly high at 512. But in these specific facilities, in Atim's region, the rate was so much worse. It was a full-blown crisis within a crisis.
But here's a glimmer of hope, and it's a really important one. Change is possible. The SMGL initiative actually managed to cut that mortality rate by 66% by 2019. That's a huge win. But for women like Atim on the ground, the deep structural problems, the everyday hurdles, those haven't just vanished.
Right. So even with some amazing progress, the path to getting care is still incredibly difficult. Let's break down some of the obstacles that women like Atim are still up against every single day.
You know, it's not just one thing, it's 100 little things that all pile up. There's the cost. Just getting to the clinic can be around 3,000 naira, which forces her to skip appointments. The roads can literally become impossible to travel on. Even services that are supposed to be free have hidden costs for things like lab work. And then you layer on top of that cultural issues, like a deep lack of trust in hospitals and a real fear of C-sections. It's just a mountain to climb.
Okay, so to try and fix some of this, Nigeria's government rolled out a really promising policy. But as we're about to see, a promise on paper can look very different from the reality on the ground.
So the policy is great. It offers free C-sections to women who can't afford them. That could be a lifesaver. But, and it's a big but, there's a catch. To even qualify, you need a national identification number, or an NIN. For someone like Atim, pregnant, exhausted, with very few resources, navigating that kind of bureaucracy is a nearly impossible task.
You can just hear the sheer exhaustion in her voice here. This is a policy designed to help the most vulnerable people, but it's blocked by a requirement that those same people find the hardest to meet. It's a classic, heartbreaking gap between policy and practice.
And this gets us to the real heart of the matter. This story. Atim's story. It isn't just about avoiding a bad outcome. For her, the fight for healthcare is also a fight for her dignity.
You know, when she talks about what she hopes for on delivery day, it's the simplest things, but they're so profound. She hopes there's light in the room. She hopes a nurse actually knows her name. She wants her baby to get a birth registration, to get a 9 easily, so their life won't be as hard as hers. It's about basic human recognition.
And that really brings us to the central question, doesn't it? In a system that is stretched so thin, what does it take for a mother and her child to be seen not as another statistic, not as another file, but as people?
I'm just going to leave you with Autumn's own powerful answer. Her struggle is a reminder that maternal health is not just about mortality rates or policy papers. It's about the fundamental right of every person to not only survive the process of giving life, but to be seen and to be treated with dignity while they do it.